Okie dokie, let's get rolling. Let me just adjust my camera a little bit. Okay, hi guys. Another stream, not Cypher tonight, unfortunately. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Flesh and Blood Arcane Rising Sealed. I got another sealed pool that I kind of already looked at a little bit. Gonna talk about the cards I opened, and this pool. This was actually the pool that Carolyn opened, and her pool is much better than mine in terms of value. I think it's also ended up being skewed pretty heavily towards Wizard, so we're going to be building Wizard. So let me find the rares here. These are all the commons I'm looking at. Yeah, so we have Plunder Run is one of our rares. Let me adjust my camera a little bit. There we go. Okay. So Plunder Run. It's a rare attack. It's not an attack action. It's a generic action. Next time an attack action card you control hits this turn, draw a card. If it's played from Arsenal, the next attack action card you play this turn gains +3 attack. And go again. I think this card is very good. It's a 0 cost, so like this is a pretty good candidate also for being a blue card in your deck. Unfortunately, like I said, we're probably building Wizard, so we're not looking for cards that care about attack actions because we're going to have basically 0 in our deck. We have, this is just a token. We had Pour the Mold, which is a Mechanologist. I think Mechanologist seems like, I don't know, it seems like it might be kind of tough to set up in Sealed just because you really want to put together a like a combo of items that you can play out, because that's sort of the Mechanologist bag, but you don't really have a critical mass. We do have a non-trivial number of Runeblade Arc Knight type cards. We have only 2 rares for the Ranger. Just Take Aim and Silver the Tip, neither of which would put me into those decks. The Runeblade cards are a little bit closer to being compelling. We have 2 reduced to Rune Chant, which is a rare. When they're both yellow, one of them is foil, which is pretty cool. Reduced to Rune Chant costs action less to play for each Rune Chant you control. It only costs 1 to begin with, so you just need 1 Rune Chant token, and it just makes a Rune Chant token. And it is a defense reaction, so you pay 1, it's 3 defense. This one is 3 defense, and it makes a Rune Chant token, so you can line up to with a decent block. And then once you're done with the block, you can set up for your next turn to, do some chip damage with your Rune Chant tokens. For those who do not know, which I'm sure is a reasonable number of people, Rune Chant tokens are one of the primary features of the Rune Blade, and they trigger when you perform attack actions. They deal arcane damage, 1 arcane damage each. Oath of the Arc Knight and Spellblade Assault are the other 2 rares. We got Spellblade Assault is the blue one. It makes 2 Rune Chant tokens, 2 costs, 2 damage. Don't love that. Oath of the Arc Knight, your next Rune Blade attack this turn gains +1 attack and a Rune Chant token and go again. This is a 2 costs and it's blue, so like we have a fair number of rares for the Rune Blade, but like these are not the best versions, I think, of these cards. I think that one of the things that we've kind of started to agree on is that you, generally speaking, want the blue cards in your deck, the pitch 3 cards, the weakest versions of the cards, to be cheaper cards, because obviously you're getting a reduced effect, so you'd prefer to not be paying a ton of resources for it. So like zero cost attack actions or action cards are really great to have as blue because, you know, they don't cost you anything other than your action. Whereas like 3 cost blue effect, you really want the red version because you're paying a premium. Okay, so let's get into the cards that I already had picked out as definite includes in the deck. Again, a wizard deck, and then we can talk about the generic cards that we're going to use to round out our deck, and some generic cards that I think are pretty good in the wizard deck. The current paradigm I've been working with in limited, where your deck is 30 cards, is that you don't want more than or too many more than 10 red cards. You want to hedge really close to 10, and you don't want fewer than 10 blue cards. And you can kind of wiggle around the middle with yellow cards, but I think that so long as you check off those first 2 boxes, or, you know, hedge pretty close, like maybe you have like, you know, 11 or 12 red cards, but you have that same number of blue cards, like 12 blue cards, because you want to make sure that you don't draw hands full of red pitch cards that you can only pitch for 1, because then you're just not going to be able to play. So we have 3 copies of Ether Flare, 1 of each pitch value. An Ether Flare is a wizard action that costs 1, deal 3 arcane damage, 2 arcane damage, or 1 arcane damage, depending on the version. And the next card you play this turn with an effect that deals arcane damage instead deals that much damage plus X, where X is the damage dealt by Ether Flare. I think the red version of Ether Flare is a very, very good card. So that's definitely in all 3 of those. I don't think there's like any reason not to play each copy. We have 3 Scalding Rains as well. So there's like 3 different, the only thing they do is direct damage wizard cycles. Scalding Rain is the middle one. It deals 2, 3, or 4 damage depending on the pitch value. Scalding Rain here. Oh, it looks pretty cool. Voltic Bolt is the most powerful one. It costs 2 and deals 3, 4, or 5. And then there's Zap, I think, is the weakest one. And I don't actually think we have any copies of that in this pool. I had a few in my pool. So we got 1 each Scalding Rain. We have 2 Voltic Bolts, just the red and the yellow one. Honestly, that's kind of preferable because, again, Voltic Bolt costs 2. Scalding Rain only costs 1, so it's fine to have a blue pitch of that. But I don't really want to have a 2-cost ability, even as good as Voltic Bolt, that I have to, you know, pay 2 resources to deal 3 damage. That's okay, but it's not great. We have Index. This is Index. I like the blue Index best, but this one's fine. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Put 1 card from among them on top of your deck. The rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. That seems very good. It's a wizard ability. It lets you, you know, dig 5 cards deep. So you're going to be able to see, you know, put 1 of those on top and then get rid of the rest of them. We have Reverberate. We have 2 copies of that. And Reverberate is a 1-cost wizard action. Deal 3 arcane damage or 2 arcane damage for the yellow one. And if it deals damage, you can banish a wizard non-attack action card from your hand with 1 cost or less, then or equal to the damage dealt by Reverberate. So the red one, it can cost 2 or less. The yellow one, it has to cost 1 or less, and it might be worse than that, depending on if they blocked. If you do, you may play it this turn as though it were an instant, so that's pretty good. I'm kind of medium on this card, but in sealed, I would definitely play it. So we are on 5 red, 4 yellow. Now we're getting into the good stuff. We have an Ether Spindle, which is a rare, a wizard rare. Pretty cool. Deal 3 arcane damage to target opposing hero, and opt X, where X is the damage dealt by Ether Spindle. It costs 2, defends for 3. So your opponent is pretty incentivized. Hey, look, it's Jordan. Hi, Jordan. Your opponent's pretty incentivized to block this, because otherwise you're going to get to opt anywhere between 1 and 3 And opt is, in this game, it's scry. You get to scry. You get look at the top X cards of your deck, put them on top or on the bottom in any order. Very powerful. Particularly because you're going to see a lot of cards really fast in this game, so that's pretty relevant. Our next rare is Absorb and Ether. 1 cost, 2 pitch. The next card you play this turn with an effect that deals arcane damage and said deals that much arcane damage plus 2. And this is the defense reaction. So, sort of bears talking about what Kano gets up to. Like what he does as a hero. So Kano himself, his ability is an instant speed ability, and it costs 3 action points. And you look at the top card of your deck. If it's a non-attack action card, you may banish it. If you do, you may play it this turn as though it were an instant. So Kano moderately wants to play on his opponent's end step. Like, he is a very controlling character in addition to being, a burn-centric sort of strategy. So he kind of wants to wait to see if his opponent overextends themselves and then move in for the kill. So like that, you can see how you might, play a card like, where did it go? Like Absorb and Ether on your end step for, 1, and then use Kano's ability to whack your opponent with a arcane spell, like with even just like Scalding Rain, hit them for 4, and then +2 from Absorb and Ether, hit them for 6. That's quite the swing. You block for 3, hit them for 6. It's obviously expensive. You have to line these up. Like, to do that, you would be paying 5 resources to use Kano's ability. His weapon is kind of more of a bonus thing. I don't think, like, he's certainly not like Dorinthia. He's not leaning heavily on his weapon. Once per turn, instant, the next action, the next card you play this turn with an effect that deals arcane damage and send deals that much arcane damage +1. And I mean, when you have the extra resources, it's nice to have something to do with them, for sure. And, you'll chip away at your opponent with that kind of an effect. So Absorb and Ether definitely in. We have this here super rare foil. Like I said, pool is much better than mine. Lesson in Lava. 1 cost, 2 pitch. Kano specialization. Deal 3 arcane damage to a target opposing hero. Okay, that's fine. If Lesson in Lava deals damage, you may search your deck for a wizard card with resource costs equal to or less than the damage dealt by it. Reveal it, shuffle it, then shuffle your deck and put it on top of your deck. So this is a pretty great ability. Like, you're gonna 3 your opponent, and they have to either absorb it somehow with like a null rune hood or some equipment or something, pay for that, and otherwise you're tutoring for one of your burn spells after you've already burned them. Like, that's so good. And it is worth noting too that like your opponent can't block normally. They have to use special like equipment, like in this case like null rune hood. There's one for each body part. And they have to pay a resource per point of arcane damage they're trying to block. So they're either going to get domed for a lot of damage, or you're going to be heavily taxing their resources. So let's continue on through the wild world of super rares and majestics that Carolyn opened. We have a Tome of Aetherwind next. And this card is sweet. It's modal, so you know it's good. 0 cost, wizard action, red pitch. Choose 2. You may choose the same mode more than once. The next card you play this turn with an effect that deals arcane damage and said deals that much arcane damage +1. Draw a card. So you can play this action. And it's worth noting, too, that you could do this, again, with Kano's ability in your opponent's end step. Because you're like, well, what's the point of drawing a card or, dealing more damage with my next thing if I don't have any more actions? Well, you can use Kano's ability to make your next thing an instant, or alternatively, you could just draw 2 more cards in your, play this in your opponent's end step as an instant, and that only costs 3 resources, and then you're just drawing 2 cards. So you're starting your turn with 6 cards in hand. That's pretty great. Like, very flexible card, really good. 100% putting that into our deck. Then we have, oh look, It's a Majestic. It's Kano's other specialization. We are doing it. 0 cost. Wizard action. Deal X arcane damage to target hero, where X is the amount of arcane damage you have dealt to that hero this turn. So it's wound reflection. That's a really, like, you line up a big turn where you deal a whole bunch of damage, and then you play this. You know, like that 6-card Tome of Aetherwind turn, and they're maybe just dead right there. They're certainly going to get beat up pretty bad. Our last rare that I thought was good enough, it's a generic rare. Also was in my pool. I like it quite a bit for the Wizard. Arena's Prayer. 1 cost, blue pitch in this case. Generic. Reveal the top card of your deck. Prevent the next X arcane damage that will be dealt to you this turn, where X is 4 minus the pitch value. So, not bad. It's a fine defensive card. Certainly don't hate putting it in the deck as a blue card. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 cards. So just with our Wizard cards and our 1 generic rare, we're already at 17. We only need 13 generic cards, and our deck is built. And is also, I would say, very high power level. So I've sort of talked about cards that I think are not good in Wizard. Any card that says attack action is like not doing it, because so like cards like come to fight, like this is not for the Wizard. Next attack action card you play this turn gets +2 attack. Well, probably we have very few or no attack actions, so that's doing essentially nothing for us. So we're just putting that right over here. Foresight. The next attack action card you play this turn gains +3 attack. If Foresight is played from Arsenal, opt 2. Go again. Like, I think this is quite a good card, but it's not doing anything for us. Vigor Rush, pretty bad. It's an attack. It gains Go again if you've played a non-attack action card this turn, but again, it's really looking like a Ranger card. Like, that's not what we're looking for. Fate Foreseen, I like quite a bit. Opt 1, this is a defense reaction. It's free. It costs 0. And this one opts 1 and defense for 4. I think we're probably playing this. It seems pretty good. Rifting, I like quite a bit as a attack card that we will play in this deck. 2 costs in this case. This is the red one, and this is the one I like best. 6 power attack. If it hits, you may play your next non-attack action card this turn as though it were an instant. So it doesn't have Go again, but you hit with this. They have to choose to block, and if they don't block, you dome them with one of your Wizard attack cards, or generic actions that deal damage. So you get to Voltic Bolt them or something if they don't completely block this 6 damage attack, which seems like a pretty, seems like a tall order. I would honestly also play probably, we have a blue Rifting, and we're kind of thin on blue cards here, so I think we're definitely playing that. I'm just going to put that over there. It's only power 4, but still quite good. Like I said, normally I'm not that high on blue versions of 2 costs or higher cards, but this one's quite good, so we're going to put it in. We have also a yellow version of it. That's going to go in. And probably these are going to be, honestly, some of the only attack actions in the deck. If we have Cadaverous Contraband, which if I find it, I will show it. We will probably play that too, because that one's pretty good, specifically in this deck. So we are pretty close to capacity on red cards. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. I want to play this Fate Foreseen. It's pretty good. As a defense reaction, being able to defend and then opt in, after and not have to really pay. Ravenous Rabble is not what we were looking to be doing. That's nothing. Push the point. Attack on Combat Chain. No, we're not doing that. Lead the Charge. The next time you play an action card with cost 0 or greater this turn, gain 1 action point. Go again. That seems pretty good. So that's a red pitch version. I have to assume that the blue pitch is 2 or greater. We're pretty into this. this makes our generic actions gain go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we are very close to our breaking point on red cards. We're going to have to see something pretty good to push us into playing another one. We do have another lead the charge, and I'm tempted to put it in. Sun Kiss, Moon Wish, we don't have to get into those. They're fine filler cards, but our power level is so high we don't have to do that. So we have another Fate Foreseen. This is only power 3 block and opt. That might make it in. We're kind of looking to push yellow cards here because we're kind of thin on yellow and blue, which I think is the main weakness of this pool. Fervent Forerunner is a generic action attack. If it hits, opt 2. It costs 0. If it's played from Arsenal, it gains go again. It's the yellow card that I think is okay, so we might play it. Fate Foreseen is going to get in, realistically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to play Cadaverous Contraband is a great card for us. So Cadaverous Contraband is an attack action for 2. If it hits, you may put a non-attack action card from a graveyard on top of your deck. So in the Wizard deck, where you're constantly playing non-attack action cards to deal damage, this is a reanimate spell for your burn. So you just get some of your good, get your good Voltic Bolt back. And it's pretty powerful. Like, they're going to have to make some tough blocking choices. So we have 10 red cards. We have 9 yellow cards, I think. No, we have 10 and 10. And then only 4 blue cards. And honestly, our candidates for blue cards are pretty thin. We have some other good red cards that would be pretty good to put in. They're 0 costs also. Our main concern is trying to get off Kano's ability with so few blue cards in our deck, and also our 2 cost action cards. These cards don't matter. Fervent Forerunner, I don't see us playing in this circumstance. So we're maybe going to have to play some... we just really don't have a lot of options for blue. We're going to play this Sun Kiss, I think, just because it is a blue card that we can play. I think it is honestly the only one. Our Moon Wishes are also unfortunately red. So that we're going to have... some maybe balance issues there, but we're going to play this Sun Kiss. And we're going to play the... actually, I don't even know if we can do that. That seems terrible. We're not going to do that. We're going to live life on the edge. We're going to cram our deck full of... I know I just said, hey, don't cram your deck full of red cards, but that's kind of the direction our deck is pushing us in. We're going to have to... The other alternative is that we could play a Cracked Bauble or 2. I'm not really wild about doing that. I don't think it's right. I think you'd be better off playing a card. So we're going to put Fervent Forerunner in. It's yellow. It's not terrible. So that puts us to 25 cards. And then we're going to jam Secondly the Charge, Cadaverous Contraband hitting for 6. And Whisper the Oracle, the red version of which is just opt for go again. 0 cost. Pretty good. So we are way over on red from optimally where I like to be, but the power level of our cards is insanely high. 2, 3. So we're at 15, 16, 17, 18. So we need 2 more cards. And I think realistically they just have to be blue. So, we're doing it. We're playing Ravenous Rabble. 3 power attack, cost 0. Reveal the top card of your deck. Ravenous Rabble gets -X, where X is the pitch value of the card revealed this way. Honestly, pretty good in our deck that's full of red pitch cards. So I guess it could be worse. We maybe actually are going to play Foresight We don't have a lot of attacks, but we had to put a fair number in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attacks. Okay, yeah, so we can play Foresight. Go again up 2. Put that blue card in there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're 11, 17, and then 13 red cards. So balance is a little bit off, but our power level is there for sure. This deck seems like it could possibly line up some, and this is sort of like as close as this game gets to having mana trouble. Like that's like the equivalent of like having a rough mana base. That's what we're looking at here. Like this deck can draw hands where it would be very challenging to play everything all at once. But we have a lot of card selection. We have a lot of very cheap cards that let us select our cards, so we can line up our killer turns, and the power level is extraordinary, I think, in this pool. So this is our pool. I'll take a picture of it, and I'm going to post this video online, obviously. I just thought it'd be helpful because, like, we have only done a few limited events. We really only got the chance to do 2 of them. And one of the really neat and interesting things about this game is that, unlike with Magic the Gathering, there isn't necessarily consensus on, hard, fast rules for building a limited deck, at least that I've been able to find. It's not like in Magic where you're just like 17 lands, 23 spells. That's what you're doing. You really shouldn't mess around with it. In this game, we have a lot of room to discover. What is the optimal deck building strategy? What's the best way to run it? And that's really exciting. And I'm really looking forward to. We're definitely gonna get a bunch of boxes of this. We're gonna sit on them, and as soon as we can, we're gonna definitely hold drafts for this. It's something that I'm really looking forward to, and I hope that when we do that, you'll come out so that we can draft it together, and that'll be really, really exciting. Gonna probably try and actually stream some creative webcam sitting on top of a fat pack box remote play of FAB in the future, probably next week on Wednesday as well, or maybe Tuesday. I'll post about it, but I'd like to kind of see how the wizard plays out. He seems very powerful, really cool mechanics. The Rune Blade seems super sweet, and because I am an edgelord, I find his aesthetic really cool, but he seems like he'd be tough to pilot, because you really want to line up kind of like Rune Chant, like it seems like big turns where you just sort of plink away your opponent 1 damage at a time. Sort of the way that Katsu lines up a bunch of weak attacks that aren't worth blocking, and so he kind of chips away at you with damage. That seems to be what the Rune Blade does, but with arcane damage. It's a little bit different. So yeah, I will take a picture of this pool, and I'm actually going to be... I probably won't stream it, but this is kind of unrelated to FAB, but I'm going to post a video about using Lackey for Fire Emblem Cypher, and then also probably post a video. I think I'll probably post a video with me and Jordan talking about deck building philosophy for Fire Emblem Cypher, because we've built quite a few decks at this point, and I think we have a pretty good idea about the basic building blocks of a reasonable Cypher deck. And we were kind of kicking around the idea of, in the near future, doing a remote tournament for Cypher and giving away some cards at the end of it, or maybe some booster packs, kind of as a fun thing to do. Anyway, that's going to do it for my stream tonight. Shorter stream, but we will be back on Friday. It's going to be kind of up to the Discord and the viewership. I'm going to be taking direct challenges on Arena for Standard, and if there aren't any takers, or if there's only like 1 or 2 and I have some time left after that, then I'm going to be streaming some drafts on Arena and we can hang out. And then I'm gonna do just a hangout stream, I think, on Saturday night, where I'm probably just gonna, I don't know, maybe stream a game, maybe just me painting miniatures. Might do some workshops on that too at some point in the future. Anyway, that's going to do it for tonight, and I will see you all on Friday evening at 8 p.m. Thanks so much.